What if one of the most remote places on Earth is about to decide who controls the future of global trade and resources? Located between the North Atlantic and the Arctic Ocean, Greenland is the world's largest island. Despite its enormous size, around 80% of it is permanently covered by ice, and only about 56,000 people live there. For decades, it was seen as economically insignificant, but that perception is changing fast, because Greenland is slowly becoming an important asset in the global race for resources, trade routes, and geopolitical influence. For most of modern history, Greenland was considered economically unviable. The harsh Arctic conditions made resource extraction too expensive and infrastructure almost impossible to build. But climate change is altering that. As global temperatures rise, ice sheets are slowly retreating, revealing land that has always been locked away. Beneath it lies one of the world's most promising reserves of critical minerals, like nickel, cobalt, and other materials essential for electric vehicles, advanced electronics, and modern defense systems. It is also believed to contain significant deposits of oil and gas. In other words, Greenland is not just ice and rock. It is a potential supply base for the technologies that define the 21st century. Right now, China dominates a large share of rare earth processing and refining. Even when materials are mined elsewhere, they often still pass through Chinese processing infrastructure. That is why countries like the United States, members of the European Union, and even private mining companies are increasingly interested in diversifying supply chains. Greenland becomes relevant here, not because it is the largest or easiest source, but because it is one of the few politically stable territories in the Arctic, with known resource potential outside of existing dominant suppliers. So suddenly, what looked like an empty island becomes a strategic alternative in a fragile global system. That growing importance became impossible to ignore when US President Donald Trump publicly expressed interest in purchasing the island. While Denmark rejected the idea, the proposal highlighted just how valuable Greenland had become in the eyes of major powers. But the value is not only present underground, it is also above the surface. As Arctic ice continues to melt, new shipping routes are gradually becoming more accessible for longer periods each year. Two of the most important ones are the Northwest Passage and the Transpolar Sea Route. These routes could significantly reduce the distance between major global markets, especially between Europe and North America. Those shorter shipping routes mean lower fuel consumption, faster delivery times, and reduced operational costs for global trade networks. All those things can translate into billions of dollars in savings across global supply chains. There is also a military and technological layer to this story. The Arctic is one of the most important regions for early warning systems, missile tracking, and satellite monitoring due to its position between major continents. The United States operates military infrastructure in Greenland, including the Beidou-Feek Space Base, which plays a role in missile detection and space surveillance. In modern geopolitics, even minutes of early warning can be decisive. At the same time, even though it is not an Arctic nation, China has been investing in Arctic research, infrastructure interests, and long-term resource strategies under its Polar Silk Road initiative. Europe, meanwhile, is focused on energy security, critical minerals, and reducing dependence on external suppliers. So, Greenland becomes a rare overlap of interests between all major economic blocs. But there is one more challenge. Although Greenland is part of the Kingdom of Denmark, it has its own government and has gradually gained more autonomy over the past decades. Many Greenlanders support greater independence and the development of an independent economy. Achieving that, however, would require significant investment. Extracting value from Greenland is extremely difficult. Infrastructure costs are enormous, environmental risks are high, and political negotiations are complex. The simple act of transporting workers, machinery, and supplies can become a logistical challenge. Every project must overcome obstacles that simply don't exist in most other parts of the world. So even if the resources exist, turning them into economic value is far from guaranteed. But if it is done successfully, those new sources of revenue could help fuel economic growth. In other words, the very resources attracting global powers today could also shape Greenland's own political future and, over time, transform it into an economic powerhouse. Building a mining industry in Greenland will take years, if not decades. So, countries are not competing for a place that is already valuable today. Instead, They are competing for something that could become extremely valuable tomorrow under the right technological and economic conditions. History has shown that the world's most valuable places are not always the ones with the largest populations or the biggest economies. They are often the places that control the resources, technologies, or trade routes everyone else depends on. So the question is, who will shape its future and who will benefit from it? If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments how I can improve. Until the next show of power, thanks for watching.